Recording. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm David Craig, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Kevin Wells, one of our distinguished speakers at the 17th 2024 Connecticut Catholic Men's Conference. Kevin, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Dave, it's great to be with you.
Kevin, let's get started by letting our audience of men listening know a little bit about your background.
Well, sure, Dave. Some of your men might actually remember me. Last year, I was invited to also speak at the Connecticut Men's Conference, and I was quite surprised, happily surprised to be invited back by the folks that put together the conference. So, for those who weren't there, for those who forgot, and I'm sure there are many, I'm a happily married father of three. I live in outside of Annapolis, Maryland, in a town called Millersville. Grew up in a large Catholic family, and I guess what I spend a lot of my time doing now is writing. So articles, books. In fact, Dave, you caught me on a good day. My latest book is going to be released on this Monday on, I'll just say on August 12th by Ignatius Press. It's called The Hermit, the Priest Who Saved a Soul, a Marriage, and a Family. So, I'm a pretty lucky guy. I used to be a sports writer. I used to cover Major League Baseball, and to be able to sort of transfer my love of sports and writing to a greater love, and that is writing of the Catholic faith, my love for Christ, the great saints and holy priesthoods. I'm a very blessed person, Dave.
Kevin, I read your past books, and we're recording this on August the 7th, and your new book, The Hermit, is coming out on August the 12th, and I'm going to order today when we get off the phone my copy. The first book, The Priest We Need to Save the Church, the story about your uncle, Monsignor Wells, and his tragic death and his being murdered in his rectory a number of years ago, and the holiness of that priest was such an example. And your checklist at the end of the book of what holy priests look like, was great, And the second book, the priest, the beggar, the story of Venerable Father Aloysius Schwartz, just would touch anybody's life. But this book, as I understand, though the title, The Hermit, looks like, well, okay, it's another book about another more priest, which it is, but it's also your story, your wife's story. And I love the subtitle. I wrote it down. Let me just read it here. The Priest Who Saved a Soul, a Marriage, and a Family. Wow. And this year's title of our Connecticut Catholic Men's Conference is, our theme is the four last things, death, judgment, heaven, or hell. But until I started seeing the promos for your book, I started to realize that, it's our efforts, it's our responsibility to drag our wives and family members and children and grandchildren and those close to us to heaven with us. It's not just me alone, that's got to get there. So will this book be addressing that relationship between you and your wife and how the hermit? What's the name of the priest?
His name is Father Martin Flume. Father Martin Flume, who is now a consecrated hermit who's turned over the rest of his life as really a Holocaust or an expiation, where he'll spend the remainder of his life in prayer and mortifications and penances to sort of beg God to bring order back into this world, and also really to try and lift the priesthood into a holier state. So so that's who Father Flume is.
Someone described the book as, I guess someone who read it ahead of time before it was published, it's raw, vulnerable, and redemptive. They used those three words. And I said, wow, I've I've got to read this and I've got to hear your story, because, heaven is the goal. And, I want my wife to be there. I want my children to be there. I want my grandchildren to be there. I want everybody to be there, obviously, but especially those that are the closest to me. And, we'll have 600-700 men out there, the majority of them married, and maybe we don't know what to do, how to approach situations in our lives, especially difficult situations. And I understand your wife encouraged you to write this book, to tell the story, because, she had to leave herself. Your wife is Krista, is that correct?
Yes.
She had to leave herself very vulnerable to give you that permission to do that. And we applaud you for doing that. And we praise her too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. If I could just add, a couple things. You and I, Dave, we fail in the burden of our identity as husbands and fathers if we're absolute failures, if we don't sacrifice, if we don't really turn over our lives to try and lead our spouses and our children, and in your case, grandchildren, to heaven. I mean, we're failures as men. That we're not living a sort of muscular manhood, masculinity, if we just are comfortable. So we know that. And as far as the book itself, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, there's nothing that comes close. I've had brain surgery. I've had all sorts of issues in my life. But writing this book was like cutting a vein every morning and writing, because I had to descend into a pretty, let's just say, Molokai-like place, kind of a Golgotha-like place to pull up memories that were not pleasant to pull up. But as you mentioned, Dave, Krista really encouraged me to talk about her broken years, her lost years. She had become a binge drinker of red wine after my brain surgery, very suddenly, very mysteriously, and it was tough. And she had asked me when she recovered to hold up what a holy priest, as we mentioned earlier, Father Martin Flume, who's now a hermit, to hold up what a holy priest does. And what does a holy priest do? What a holy priest is, it's he loves and sacrifices as Jesus did, by not expecting maybe consolations or love in return, just the hard wood of the cross. And as Father Flume really helped to bring my wife back to health, I too had to come to learn that, I should love as Christ and just expect the hard wood of the cross as my wife was suffering. So thankfully, and I'll kind of shut it down by saying this, thankfully, I had learned through my writings what the great priest saints have done over the years, what my uncle Monsignor Wells did. All the great priest titans down the years, they sacrificed their lives to save souls. And in a sense, now the burden was on me in a very real way. So I think the book touches on a lot of things. It touches on marriage. It touches on the holy witness of a priest, and the fact that if you do not give up on God during those dark years, and you cling to him, that he is always faithful, always faithful. If you just wait him out. And man, it was tough to wait it out. But God came, and he came through a holy priest named Father Martin Flume.
Thank you very much, Kevin. We're looking forward to you coming back. By the way, the reason you were invited back a second year is by popular demand, along with Father Wade Menendez. He's coming back. He wasn't with us last year; it was the year before, and we have Peter Herbeck coming for the first time. He was supposed to talk during COVID, and then everything got mixed up there, and we didn't have him then. So his first time speaking with us. And Steve Ray also on EWTN, and we're really looking forward to hearing the four of you. We've got the relics again this year. We've got more of them. We're going to keep doing that. I think that's going to be a yearly event at the beginning, and bringing Christ into the auditorium. And we're looking forward to seeing all the men there. Now, for those men that are listening for the first time, this is the Connecticut Catholic Men's Conference. It's going to be held September 21st. Doors open at 7:30. First talk is 8:30. You can buy your tickets at ctcatholicmen.org. And it's going to be held at Northwest Catholic High School in West Hartford, Connecticut, September 21st. So get your tickets now. And Kevin, thank you very much for this promotional video. Hopefully we've recorded it well, and we'll go out pretty soon to the men on our email list. God bless you, Kevin. I look forward to seeing you on the 21st.
Dave, you too. God bless you. Bye-bye.